Okay, this is a continuation of last week's video, which is also kind of merging into this week's video because I worked all Sunday night and it's now Monday, and everything's going to be a little jumbled together on this one. So just if you haven't seen the last episode, the last whatever I did, I'm really tired, man. I've been up all night. The semi is stuck up here in our first attempt at a semi yard, which failed fairly miserably. I brought 100 hives to my house, I say last night, early this morning, sunrise, and you know, he's stuck. And I just swung by Lowe's and I bought a really nice chainsaw, and I'm gonna go out here. There's a stump in his way and possibly several trees. We have to figure it out, and if I can cut those down, and we can probably get him out of here. So I hope so. If not, I see those guys came out here this morning. They're starting to land clear. They got a little excavator or something. I will ask them to come out here and help us, and they got a skid steer, so maybe we got some backup. I don't have any honey with me. I'll take him in honey, but I'm gonna try to get him out of here. I don't know how it's gonna go, but I've been up for well over 24 hours straight now. I think my broker has been up probably longer than that because he's been driving, you know, the bees from California. So everybody's a little burnt out. Everybody's a little tired. It's been a long night, but I will find a way to get him out of there. This is the stump that's causing the problems he's going to catch. Probably this tree here too. I don't know if we need to cut those, but maybe. It's just hard, you know. You got to back his trailer up here near off side of the cliff, and it's just a sharp turn, man. But I did buy a big boy saw here for a very big boy problem. Here we go. Cut a nice little tree. Did my probably my first notch cut. Didn't know what I was doing, but I didn't cut my leg off, so that's a plus. Oh yeah. Wow. Huh. Oh man, I think we're gonna make it. I think we're gonna make it, ladies and gentlemen. I think I get to go home and go to bed, and my broker gets to bring me more bees. Everybody wins. Heck yeah. Freedom, man. Heck yes. Great. This is the cool thing about beekeeping. Some days you get to play with bugs. Some days you get to be a mechanic. Some days you get to be a logger. I hate killing trees. That makes me sad, but I am sure glad he got out of there. We had no problem, man. He just shot down that road down there, and he got on out. So it was worth every penny. I'm going to go start cutting some trees down at my house, clear a little bit of land. Why not? I'm an expert now, apparently. You know, I cut down 2 very small trees, so master tree cutting, I guess. Oh, it feels good. Well, I'm gonna go look at the bees here real quick during the day, and then I'm probably going to pass out and die, or go into a coma for a few months and rest back up. Here they are. It got cold this morning. It was hot last night. I was sweating, and then something happened this morning, and the temp just dropped. They're not, oh, that box is split. Nothing I can do about it. I don't have the bobcat here. Like they were bearding so much last night. You saw how hot they were hot too. Now they're all tuckered in. I know they are slam full of bees though. Cool thing is, there's a big pond, pretty good sized pond right there. So when they do want to get out and fly, they got a lot of water. Oh man. That's great. I'm glad to see them on the ground, and makes, you know, knowing the semi got out of here okay. There's not really much going on. It's so cold. I'm freezing. I didn't bring a jacket because it was hot a few hours ago. The temps here are wacky, man. It's hot one day, it's cold one day. You get a freak snow. It's like it's nuts. It's not consistent whatsoever, which is what a lot of people were telling me here. That's going to be a learning curve in this climate. There's no doubt about it. Look at them all. They're all chilly. It's crazy to think just a few days ago they were sitting over in California. And apparently it was super hot in California. 80, 90 degrees, he was telling me. So, sorry girls. Got a little bit of a shock to the system here, but everybody's all right. Okay, well, I'm going home and going to bed. That's enough excitement for me. But all's well that ends well. It's still Monday after we got the semi out. It's getting kind of towards the end of the evening, a little bit late afternoon. Came out here to look at the pad. He's been working. I think they brought in some more dirt. He definitely obviously got what was here spread. I was trying to catch a nap, but I swear I could have heard those dump trucks slamming. And man, they got it up quite a bit. It looks really nice. You can see he went in and stripped the topsoil here, and he really tamped it down with the bulldozer. I'm told the guy today that you know, the situation with us probably having to unload the next 2 semis here and drop the hives here, you know, unless I can find a spot, and I'm definitely going to try. But I'm glad he said he didn't know if they could finish the pad this week. It depended on the weather and really how much dirt they could bring in. It's just so much dirt, and they have to have so many dump trucks, and I think they're a good distance from the pit there where they're collecting the dirt. And I honestly was a little nervous he'd be scared of the hives out there. When I dropped them off, it was early this morning and it was really, really cold, so they weren't flying at all. But I did look out the window, and it's still pretty chilly and it's very windy. I'm sure you can hear. They're not flying very much, but they are a little bit. But every time I looked out, he was out here running his bulldozer, so he didn't seem afraid. Good on him. Some people would be. I'm sure the weather with it is just helped. But yeah, I told him, you know, that's just kind of the situation where we're at right now, and he's going to do what he can get done. And I'm glad he at least got this. Now, I'm not going to be stupid enough. I've already learned my lesson with the Tennessee dirt here to not trust it ever again. Now, the semi, it's broken my heart and betrayed my trust too many times here already. Lesson learned. But if I can pull the semi here, I'm thinking almost to get one set of tires and a little bit in the gravel. Because, you know, Randy packed that thing down with his box trailer, which I'm sure he wasn't 80,000 pounds, but he drove back and forth with that loaded trailer and really tamped it down. I've been driving over with the 5500. They've been driving it over with the dump trucks and the skid steer. So I'm almost thinking about getting the semi tires here, but keeping the other tires on the other road. And I'm pretty confident, I could be wrong, I can get him on, I can unload this side and then, you know, just bring him over here. And then of course I'll be able to get this side. And with this thing being flat and level like it is now, and you can see he's really tamped it down, I can get the skid steer back and forth, and it gives me a nice pad. If they keep it as level as it is, and I don't know how much more they're going to raise it up. You can see the marker over there compared to this marker. To me, it still looks lower. I can just set those stacks of hives here. And if I get the semi unloaded early enough, you know, I can move out some hives even that same night. Like, you know, I got 100 hives out this morning. I'm going to go get 100 hives tonight. So that's almost half the semi, depending on how high the broker stacks them. So that wouldn't be near so bad. So I do feel a little better about it. It's not ideal. It would be ideal if this was like concrete or asphalt or maybe some tons of gravel, and I could back them in here and then set them down. I think it'd be okay. I'm still a little worried about the neighbors coming by. I mean, honestly, all they gotta do is roll their windows up. There's no kids out here. I haven't seen anybody on a bicycle. The only person I've seen that's kind of open to the air, there's an old farmer that comes by, and he's in a little side-by-side with one of his workers that come by. But, you know, if I see him, I'll tell him. And again, he can just go out the other side of the road there. I think he's got a field down there, so, you know, he's just going to have to work with me, I think. Unless he's not scared of bees, and maybe he'll be fine. I think this could work. Again, nothing is ideal at the moment, but we're just trying to it's kind of a patch job just to get everything going. You can see the bees are all down there, so that's the first time I looked at them from this perspective. So I almost wondered at first when I draw, I was like, I wonder if the neighbors would be able to see them. But oh yeah, they can see them. I'm right here at the road, so they know the bees are here. I'm just gonna go ahead and get the trailer and skid steer loaded up, and, you know, grab my suit and all that. And you know, one thing I've noticed is there are no pine trees around here. Not pine trees like the longleaf pine we have in Florida. So I could not find any pine straw to light my smoker. So I was burning that grass out there, that broom straw, I don't know what it is. And that stuff burns like so hot, so fast, and it just burns out of control, and it doesn't light my smoker pellets that I use. So I am gonna have to find a source of straw. I know a lot of people do the burlap sack and stuff. I'm not doing all that junk, man. Well, I'm gonna get whatever I can get out here from the woods. There's gotta be, I see different types of pines. There's gotta be something that's got a needle out there long enough for me to start harvesting. Just rake up and throw in a bag. And that's the goal. And yeah, so I'm gonna get ready, and we'll move some bees tonight. I got the 24 pallets, 96 double deeps loaded up that I wanted to grab tonight. It's so chilly out. It's not freezing, it's just a little nippy. I didn't need to light a smoker at all. So they're ready to go. And then I was thinking, since we didn't want to load another semi here, and this is going to be a bee yard for us, probably a permanent one. The landowner seems really nice, and he seems to let us do whatever we need to do. So I was like, well, heck, I may as well just set down 24 pallets here too. So this is another yard here that's finished. So counting the ones we brought to the house and the ones that I'm moving back, actually not far down the road from my house also is where these 100 are going. And these 100, that's 300. I got 300 double deeps on the ground. I mean, it's kind of a cheat, but they're still on the ground. 300 today on Monday, so that's pretty awesome. You know, this is such a big field here. I was starting to space everything out, and then I realized that since we're going to fence everything in, the bigger the yard I make, the more expensive it is. You know, I'm paying by the foot here. You know, I'm getting charged by the foot here. So, and of course, after the initial time and money investment of building the fence, you have to maintain the fence forever. Right? So that's a lot. But I like to have it. I wanted to have it where I could just pull the truck in so we could feed or throw boxes on. But yeah, it's going to be more expensive. That's something I'll have to start factoring in. But you know, you put the hives too cramped, you can't work, you can't do anything. And you know, we'll come out and split these hopefully as soon as we can get some cells going. We'll just lay some 4-way pallets out here. I'll pop these off onto the pallets and move them away, break everything down to singles, probably make honey off of them. So anyways, yeah, that'll be so technically that's 2 yards done already, and hopefully I'll have a third one done here before too long. We still got about 44 more pallets, I believe, here stacked up. I'm just going to leave them just the way they're at. They're pretty good and propolized. I did take the time to straighten some of the lids, and some caps blow out, you know, just normal stuff. And the hives get moved, especially moved on the other side of the country. But they all look in pretty good shape. I saw one box that was busted, but you know, I could have busted it too. You know, we were slipping and sliding in the mud here last night, but I mean, all the equipment looks fantastic. And last night when it was warmer, I mean, the bees were really coming at it. Seemed like near every single box to me. So I'm just gonna go ahead and got a little game camera set up there again so I can watch the bear. I'm gonna go ahead and run these back, not too far down the road from the house. So I just wanted a close yard. I really don't want to put 100 hives that close to the house, truly, because I already have 100 hives. It's almost exactly a mile down the road. It's just, I wouldn't want to put that many that close in Florida, and I suspect I don't want to do it in Tennessee, probably even less so. But you know, we still don't have enough yards for all the semis, so everything's just going to have to be a little heavy when it comes to packing the hives in. And the honey flow will be on before too long, and these hives should have more than enough resources, so I'm not concerned about it. But any of the number of hives that I'm putting out right now, none of this is permanent. You know, I mean, my ultimate goal, long-term goal, is probably to run 48 hives per location, just because you know, unless I can find someone to hire some help, and I really have not really had any takers yet. You know, it's hard to come out here and work 100 hives by yourself, 100 double deeps. And working 48, I mean, that's not easy either, but at least you get to get in the truck and drive to the next yard and you get a break. And mentally, it's just a lot easier. You get out here and you look at all that and you're like, oh man, you know, when you're by yourself, it's brutal. You're just locked here all day long. So I will eventually break them down, but you know, we just don't have the spots for them yet. But I do believe we will fix that before too long. All right, I'm already starting to get a little tired, getting a little sleepy. I'm ready to go to bed. So let me go ahead and get these to the next yard. This will be, I guess this is technically our first outside yard, but it's kind of, again, I feel like I kind of cheated just because it's a semi-yard. But I'll be moving these to our, in my mind, our first outside yard. You know, actually bringing hives in and setting them out, but it doesn't really matter. It's just, I'm excited to see the girls on the ground finally. Got the 24 pallets down. Went pretty smooth. My forks got a little jammed on one of those slopes, but not a big deal. The grass here seemed almost, I was afraid it was going to be too soft. Like what's at my place, it looks and feels like the soil at my place, but it's actually quite firm. You can see I didn't really do any damage there running around with the bobcat, so that gives me hope because it's just really right down the road from my place. So maybe not all the ground is like my ground where, you know, you're just going to straight sink to the center of the earth. So that's pretty good. It's a really nice bee yard here. I wish it was just a little further from the house. But, you know, I don't know. I don't know what's out here. It's a really nice little spot. I got to really crank down on the straps going up around all those little mountain, curvy mountain roads. And a lot of the boxes break in half because I got to just I really want them tight. But everything looks pretty good. I think we'll just leave them, let them settle for a while, leave them alone for a few days. I've got so much to do anyways. It's not like I want to tear them open tomorrow or anything. But there's a little box here. I'm going to go get a high tool to fix that one. It's pretty propolized. Other than that one box, I think they're done. They're ready to go. All right, I'm pretty fried. I'm going to call it a night, and I'll just keep working at it. All right, here is our 4th load of hives down. Pretty easy move. It's getting a little bit easier getting on these mountain roads every time I do it. It is a lot of weight, man, when you got to go up those steep roads, though. I probably had a dozen cars behind me tonight trying to get up that hill, but we made it. Everything went pretty smooth. I still have 20 more pallets at that first scent from the first semi. I need to spread out. But I have got to make another furniture run down to Florida tomorrow morning. So I'm just going to try to get some sleep. And I get up, load that trailer in Florida tomorrow night, and hopefully be here the next day. Back up here in Tennessee. And then I'll try to get those 20 pallets pushed out. And should be done in plenty of time before the next semi gets here. Went and looked at another yard today, but it was like smack in downtown Crossville, like like right off Main Street. And the landowners are real cool, but there wasn't enough food for the bees. I told them usually you want to have about 1 to 2 acres of forage per colony is a good rule of thumb. So, you know, if you drop 50 hives, you know, roughly you want 50 to 100 acres of something they can munch on. And if it's all kind of suburban lawns and, you know, dandelions, it's not gonna, I don't feel like that's gonna cut it myself. But they're really nice. They're gonna try to get some yards too, talk to their friends, so it's always good to network. And they all look ready to go. All right, this is the flattest bee yard I've come across so far. It's almost reminds me of Florida. Just a nice field. Okay, well, I'm going to bed. Everything looks good. I received my first set of solar chargers in here today. These are the ones we used to use at my old job, these Solar Pack 12s. They were always really good. They're like $500 or something. They're very expensive. I occasionally did see bears get through these as well, although I think sometimes it was just the fence had gotten grounded out or the battery went bad. But this is the high-powered one. I'm going to try this one. Obviously, if we need to pay that money, I'll pay it. These are other ones were about half the price. They put out less power, but they advertise enough power to knock a bear down. So we'll try these. If I have to buy more expensive, that's just the way it's going to be. But if I can get 2 of these, that would be great, just because we're probably going to have to fence in everything. I did run to Lowe's and I got some T-posts, wire, insulators, the whole shebang to do like a permanent setup, which is the way I would like to do it. And we also got a few hundred feet of the electric netting from Premier One. They have what they advertise and sell as a bear fence. So they advertise it should keep bears out. We'll also find that out. The nice thing with those, they're much easier and quicker to set up, pick up, and move. It will be nice to have a quick setup and mobile option, and maybe use all, you know, which I'll also use these chargers for. But the T-post, I hope will be better for our like permanent locations that we're sure we're going to put bees up year round basically. So if I have time today, I'm supposed to go look at a couple bee yards. I just got back from Florida, so I'm still unloading the trailer. It's Saturday. So if I have time, I'll start putting up a fence. I have a game camera set up in the one location where we dropped the semi-hives out. I haven't seen any bear activity yet, but I am a little nervous about it. What I am going to start doing here is if the bees are just starting to fly, I want to run out there and try to set up maybe 4 cloak boards and just put the slides in, so potentially I can start grafting tomorrow, although it's going to be just kind of a limited production. I really just want to see if they'll get anything. but the bees are flying quite a bit. They seem very active this morning. My broker called me yesterday, and he told me he's going to have to delay the second semi for another week, which I'm not even remotely upset about, because I haven't even opened the first hive from the first load. I still have 22 pallets or something staged up that I need to try to spread out tonight. And obviously we're just starting cells, so I don't really want to do splits without at least having cells. So I was totally okay with it. The pad's almost finished out there, as you can see. They will definitely finish this coming week. So they were calling me and saying, hey man, can you delay the bees just one more week? We'll have the pad completely finished. It needs to sit for a while anyways before they start building and doing the framing on it. So, and because I already told them I'm probably gonna, unless the two plot spots, I am going to look at a hayfield today, and I hope it'll work out. But if it doesn't, we're absolutely gonna load both semis there, you know, 6 days apart. And obviously, again, I offered them a bee suit. I was like, hey dude, I'll give you a full body bee suit if you want to keep working. They didn't really take to they didn't say no, but they were kind of like, man, can't you just delay the second semi? So in the end, if this was a normal year in Florida, I'd be freaking out, because the bees would be coming back late, in my opinion. With everything going on, I'm actually happy that they're delayed. So the bees are just very active. They seem very healthy, but again, you haven't opened them. So if all goes well, and I think I only need 2 more trailer load trips from Florida, I'm going to try to run back down there in a few days. And if that's the case, we'll have 1 more trip after that, and we'll be finished moving out of Florida. So I'm almost done. I'm pushing hard to get that. Just, it's hard to focus here and have all that stuff I have to do down there. So this will be great. So maybe we can get cells started. The pad will get done. I can probably have 99% of things out of Florida done this week. And I've still got a lot of bee yards to go look at. I just have not had time, because still running down there, packing, unloading. We're starting to bring the animals up, so now I have to start taking care of them. So it's just been a lot, truthfully. And my pickup truck, the power steering hose sprung a leak on the way down there. We were able to fix it at Advance, but they didn't have the right hose. But they were able to, like, basically couple a couple hoses together to make it work. But I was completely broke down in their parking lot for like 4 hours. It was an ordeal. But those guys, the Advanced Auto Parts in Crossville, man, on Genesis, a shout out to those guys. They are phenomenal. And yeah, so anyways, it's been fun. Anyways, it's been a little bit of a venture, but we're just moving forward, man. I'm really excited. I'm going to try to get in these hives here now, and we'll see what they look like. Very first hive I've opened this since I came back from almonds. You can see they made some fresh white wax there. See some food there. They definitely made some honey. That looks like a foundation they may have drawn out back there. Populations are looking good. I'm seeing a lot of drones. No drone pupa on the top here. But I definitely saw a lot of drones running around when I opened them up. Every hive has got the 2 apivar strips. So I have to make, those things are probably well past expired now. So I'm making sure I'm pulling the apivar out. Don't want to miss any of those. Eventually that'll breed a mite resistance, just because it'll keep putting out less and less amitraz every time. So I need to get those things out. Definitely don't want to make honey. With those in there, it'll make the honey, you know, have amitraz in it. So all I'm really going to do, and this is very quick. I'm not doing any deep dive, nothing too detailed work. I'm just trying to find the queen, and I would mark her, but I just realized I left my queen marking pin. It's still in Florida, so I'm just going to find her for now. I'm going to make sure she's in that bottom box, and then I'm just going to put the cloak board with the slide in. If this pallet looks as good as this, I'll just do this first pallet. If not, you know, I'll keep going down the line here. I'm going to try to work in the line just so I know I've checked them all, and so that I've, you know, removed all the apivar. That's always a big thing this time of year. And just make sure the brood looks healthy and stuff. But, I mean, just popping them open, they look pretty darn good already. This is roughly what I'm seeing in this first box here. Patterns of hair spotty. It's probably what I think happened is that's probably what the queen laid over in California. And then there's a bit of a break. I mean, I have a lot of cat brood. There's not a lot of larvae, but there are some eggs scattered around. So probably either the shipping stressed them out, or it's the cold weather. We've had some cold nights. May have shut her down. Maybe she restarted. That's just my guess. I'm not seeing any sign of disease anywhere. There's quite a bit of still capped drone brood. There were plenty of drones, as you can see, running around. I hope by the time we kind of get the cells going and they hatch and the queens go on their mating flights here, you know, I'm hoping spring will kick on enough where, you know, they'll start producing drones here in Tennessee. This is probably all just from California. I'm also seeing a lot of bee bread, as you can see there. There's quite a lot of it. So they brought in a ton of pollen in California. I've not seen any fresh pollen here yet, not in Tennessee. And these bees have been sitting here for, I can't even remember now, a week, maybe a little bit under a week. So they've had time to kind of adjust. I've seen them out collecting that dandelion pollen, but that's all I've noticed. But I also haven't really paid that much attention to them either, but I've not noticed any fresh pollen. I'm seeing some of the trees are starting to bud out here. They're still pretty kind of dead looking, but they're starting to come. There's one out there that's starting to produce some flowers. I see a lot of buds. As I was driving home to Florida, of course, as further I went south, the more and more the colors were changing. So I can kind of almost see it working its way up here. So I've still got a little bit of time, which again, you know, would kind of suck on a normal year because we'd be trying to pump things out. But right now, I'm okay if it's delayed. I'm just trying to figure out when is a good time that the pollen's going to start coming up here on the plateau. I see when I go down off the plateau here, like towards Knoxville or something, those guys are bringing in a lot of pollen. They're saying they're making nectar and all that. So something I may have to do, not now, not this year, but maybe next year, if I really want to maximize production without moving them out of state, I might just have to move them a little further down, like towards Knoxville or Nashville or something off this plateau. And that might give me like a week or two boost in my growing season. I'm almost wondering if I can move them off the plateau down at the bottom of the mountain, basically make some honey or whatever, cells, and then once that little flow is over, move them up here to the plateau where it's just going to start blooming. I mean, I haven't talked to anybody about that, but if things are blooming based off elevation, and it's kind of like a little staircase, things at the bottom of the mountain are blooming, and then they start in kind of a, you know, down the road as you go up in elevation, things will hopefully bloom as things get warmer. I wonder if you can basically move the hives and catch multiple honey flows. I mean, some honey flows only last a couple of weeks. And if Knoxville, like at the bottom of the plateau, is blooming 2 weeks, you know, 10 degrees higher, 2 weeks earlier than here, then I could potentially make a honey flow, snap up the hive. Obviously not all the hives, but even if it's 100 or 400 or whatever, and I move them down there, can I move them back up here? That's something I'm gonna have to learn. I think that's probably mountain beekeeping. It makes sense in my mind. I have no idea if that is reality or not. I would love to talk to people, but usually the guys I've been talking to, they don't move their hives. They plop them here in the plateau and they gripe about the delayed season and not a lot of pollen or whatever. But, you know, I'm mobile. So the only thing stopping me from moving them anywhere in the whole country is my own just desire to, you know, I want to sleep in my bed every night. So I keep telling people. But we may just have to move as we're you know, living here, because yeah, things are very just slow to bloom up here. And you know, in Florida, I usually didn't get nukes and cells or queens and nukes out until the first week of April. You can sometimes get them in the second half of March in North Florida, but you know, you're pushing it, and honestly, there's really not enough drones unless you had a very warm winter. Everybody thinks like Florida is popping things out in like first half of March, but that's only true in southern and central Florida. Where I was at in the Panhandle, no, a first week of April is kind of how it goes. And I've been told up here in the plateau, we can probably get queens and nukes out at maybe third, fourth week of April. So that's still going to set us back 3 or 4 weeks from what I could do in, you know, in Florida. So I'll have to adjust that. But if I'm willing to move them just a little bit further, I can, you know, maybe gain another week or two in a growing season. So that's what I'm going to be learning a lot this season. But, you know, I'm going to keep going through them and just see what they're going to look like. Just finished setting up the 4 cell builders. Definitely varying in quality a lot. So this was absolutely the best one. And I want to say these 3 here all had drone pupa all over the top bars. Just the first one did not, and there's plenty of adult drones and capped drone brood in all of them. There's all 3 stages of worker brood, although it's primarily capped, probably from California. But we do have eggs, not as many larvae, so it just seems like the queens may have just started laying. Today's been a little cold, but it has been pretty hot the last few days, so I wonder if that's helped. And obviously they've just been sitting here and getting settled. They're always very stressed out from that drive. It does take them some time. So that might also be the reason why we saw a little shutdown. I know they got very, very hot. It was like 90 plus degrees or something when they were on that truck. And when they got stuck in that traffic jam last week, they may have gotten a little toasty. They have been going back and forth to the neighbor's pond like crazy. I just saw some pollen. Actually, at first, a little bit of orange pollen there. I think that's that dandelion pollen. That's the only pollen I've seen. I didn't see them really bringing in anything heavy into the hives or in the front. I didn't see any fresh pollen in the hives, although they are packed out with bee bread from California. I'm sure they didn't get that here. I didn't see any fresh nectar, although this one did have quite a 2 or 3 frames of what looked like uncapped honey, but when I shook it, it didn't come loose, so it wasn't fresh. I kind of doubt they got that here. They may have got it right at the end of California, and maybe they just started dehydrating it and didn't have enough more coming in to cap it off. That's my guess. So don't see any nectar, see nothing but a very, very small amount of dandelion pollen. They have been all over the dandelions. I'm bringing the mower up here in a few days, but I'm not mowing the grass here till we got a little more pollen coming in. I think that might be all we've got. I don't know. You can see I left the slides out here, and the reason I did that is because I only found the queen on this. I didn't check the bottom boxes. I just found the queen in the top box on that one. But what I was doing is I just started shaking all the frames off into the bottom box. So there are no bees on the top box. It's a little chilly, so I was trying to be fast, get them back in before that brood got chilled. What I'll do is wait a few hours, maybe sometime this evening. I'll come and put the slides in. That'll give time to all those bees that shook in the bottom box to work their way back up there. There is, because there's brood in the top box, they will be drawn up, especially to the open brood. I didn't bother moving all the open brood down. I didn't do anything fancy like that. We're just going to try it like this, as is. It's just kind of a rush job, little test job. That's it. So, that open brood will compete against my grafts that I hope to put in tomorrow if I have time. But that's perfectly fine. I don't mind right now. You can see this hive, it had quite a bit of dead bees at the entrance that they've yanked out. It's not starving, but it's very, very light. There's a little bit of honey in there, but there's not much. This one is just completely plugged out. Those two are quite heavy, but there's space for the queen to lay. This one's very, very light, although the queen's still laying. So when I've got a little bit of cane sugar in the house. I got a bag from who knows when. It's probably crystallized, but I'll beat it up and I'll at least feed the 4 cell builders with some actually sucrose. I don't have any high fructose left, and I'm not ordering a tanker load this close to spring. So I don't know why this one's lighter than the others. You know, we did send a lot of extra hives that were very weak, that weren't going to make grade as extra, those 120. Some of them were just half dead singles. I threw a box comb on. That could be one of those. Some of the orchards had mustard and fiddleneck blooming around the almonds, in which they would get more nectar than they would get from the almonds. Some of these got moved to a mustard fiddleneck field where they made honey out there. Some of them I think got left in the orchards or just outside of the orchards. There may have been less. So I have no idea why these 4 look the way they do, is basically what I'm saying. I won't know really until I have time to go through all 100 of these and more to get a feel of how they did over there. I felt like they looked okay outside of that one, but they didn't blow my hair back. They weren't impressive. And what my broker was telling me, because last year we did use him too, but we generally were using a different broker. The old broker we were using, he had his bees up more towards Central California, around Merced. And my new broker was telling me that there's just a lot more natural honey plants up in that area, because all in the previous years they came back just dripping with honey. That was not the case for these 4. Although these 3 were heavy, they didn't look like they just came off a honey flow, not to me. They made a little bit, and they're going to be okay, but they didn't look as impressive as I was hoping. But again, I don't know, was this one of those pallets that we sent that were junk just to get them off so I didn't have to move them, and they built up to be okay? I'll have to go through more. I know we had one orchard that we were pollinating outside of Fresno. That one did make honey, but I just don't know what is what. And also the double deeps just were weaker than the hive and a half. So whenever we get that hive and a half load, I can kind of eyeball those, because almost all of those were just massive bangers. The double deeps were hit or miss. And if you watched my almond video from whenever I did it a few weeks ago, you saw that I found some of those that were just junky. And I also did see one mite. The brood didn't see any disease, didn't see deformed wing. I did see one bee with a mite on it. They're here, but we saw those in California too. The best thing I can do for them truly is just to get these cells going and start splitting them. That's the best thing I can do. We should have plenty of drones in the area, since we have basically all stages of drones essentially. I don't know if the queen started laying drones, but we have calf drone brood. That'll take time for them to hatch, and it usually takes about a week or so for those drones to sexually mature and start going on their sort of mating flights. So I'm hoping by the time that whole life cycle happens, the queen will begin laying drones here, and we can have like Tennessee drones basically. So I don't know. We'll just have to see how it goes. Again, I'll put the slides in here in a few hours when the bees go back up, and I will do my best to graft tomorrow. I'm not going to do any. Usually we do 60 grafts per hive. I'm not doing that. I'm going to do 2 bars, 40 grafts. I don't think they can even handle 60. I don't know if they can even handle 40, but you know, sometimes I do a bad graft or they dry out or something happens. That's why I like to make a little bit of a surplus, and that way I can kind of offset if I made a mistake as a grafter. I haven't drafted in a while, so I might be a little rusty, and I'm sure you can hear on the camera, but it's very windy here, and it's still pretty chilly unless you're in the sun. So I really don't know what's going to happen, but that's why I'm setting this up, so I can test and find out. Got some buckets filled up with probably a 1-to-1 sugar water solution, actually sucrose this time. No high fructose for those cell builders. I found out we got a case of global pollen patties, so I'm going to give them half a pollen patty up in the top box and just throw this on there. You can see there's actually some honey here. I found a 1-gallon jug of almost completely crystallized honey, so I actually blended that in too, so they'll get a little bit of natural food. Normally you wouldn't want to feed foreign honey to your bees because it can contain American foul brood spores, but I've never had American foul brood, and I don't mind feeding my own honey back to my own bees. I would never feed somebody else's honey to my bees. But hopefully that'll stim them up a little bit. If you've seen my other videos over the years, you know I've always been really very negative towards pollen patties. Usually we only try to use them around like August or something in summer, and during the summer dearth in Florida to boost cell production. But I have not once seen any kind of benefit to using pollen patties to increase brood production or cell production. But with the limited season here, I'll have to do some more research. And the main issue with pollen patties in Florida is just that the small hive beetles are so horrible around the summer dearth period that you put a patty in there, no matter how small, it's going to be just packed full of hundreds, if not thousands, of small hive beetle larvae, and then you end up destroying the hive through just hive beetle infestation. So if there are any benefits to using pollen patties, in my experience in the Panhandle in North Florida, it's offset by hive beetles. So that might be different in Tennessee. I really have no idea how the hive beetles are up here. I'm sure I brought some with me from Florida, so if they can live up here, they will. But I imagine the winter would probably take them down pretty hard. The Florida, it never gets enough freezes to really kill that larva that are breeding down in the soil. But, you know, if we get snow and stuff up here, I like to think the hive beetles will get wiped out. But anyways, I'm going to go throw these on the cell builders, put the patty just under the lid, quick and easy, and maybe that'll help with my grafts I'm going to put in tomorrow. It's actually 20 pallets that I have left. That's actually just fine with me. I did go out and get 2 new BRs today, so victory on that. Same landowner, a big farmer here. He has a lot of cattle pastures. Kind of unfortunately, they're hay fields, so he really wants the bees like either kind of against the tree line or up against the fence line. He doesn't really want me pulling around in the grass, and I get it. I mean, he's needs to raise that food for his cattle. I'm not begrudging him against it. He's just going to be the bees. It'll be a little tight, basically. And he's just kind of like, I don't mind the bees, but just get him out of my way. And I was like, well, man, I'll take it right now. So it's a really pretty area. He didn't want any electric fences, though. He was against that, but he said he hasn't seen any bears there, so probably should be okay. And they've got a big farm. They got people coming and going, machines. It's near buildings. Hopefully that means it'll be all right. Barbed wires all around the pastures and stuff. I mean, obviously he keeps his cattle protected, so hopefully that means the bees will be all right. He may even have a third spot for me, but we'll see. He wants to see how these first 2 yards go. So I was trying to check. 1 yard I can get 24 pallets in. I might get 24 pallets in the other spot, but probably better to put 12 just because it is on a kind of a big slope going up and down. And I think 12 would just fit better for the amount of land that's level. And they're not they're far enough, the yards are far enough apart, but they're not like super far apart. The plus side is they're only about 15 minutes from my house, right off a major road. So I can easily access them. I could get a semi out in the field, but of course, it would destroy his hay field. So he was not keen on that idea. But I was eyeballing that big field pretty hard, man. I was like, oh man, that's sure to be a nice spot to drop 400 or 500 hives and spread them out and leave them here for a while. But he wasn't a taker on that. But I'm definitely not complaining. 2 new yards. The last 3 yards I've looked at before today they didn't work out. landowners just quite weren't ready for the bees when I kind of explained everything, or the yard was small, or whatever. Had some little issue. Nothing major. Just I don't want to put myself. I know I'm a little desperate, but I don't want to put myself in a place I'm going to regret. I have to pick them up and move them later, especially if I have to do fences. And speaking of, you can see I started. My goal was to come out and put the fence up today, but then that landowner called me, and I really thought it would be a semi-yard, so I kind of stopped what I was doing to run and check. But I also got 2 spots, so I'm not complaining. But this is how we used to do it at Barkman. I did watch that Bob Vinny video. Everybody keeps telling me to go look at. He does it the exact same way we did it at Barkman. I'm assuming that's just kind of a standard beekeeper thing. I just got the T-posts, like I said earlier, at Lowe's. I couldn't find any rebar, but I hate the rebar because they have those little ring insulators, and they kind of screw on, and they're plastic, and if the threading of those screws breaks off, and it will eventually, those little things fall and it shorts the wire out. And if you've got a long rebar and you've got like 3 or 4 strands, and you've got a strand here in the middle where the insulator is broken, you have to like pull off all the other insulators to work your way down. It's a pain in the butt. We had to deal with it all the time at Barkman, and I despise those little rebar. Maybe there's better insulators than those little screw-on ones, but those suck. The yellow ones suck too. They go bad in the sun pretty bad. I don't know. I realize I have not built a fence in like I built a lot at Barkman all the time, but it's been like 4 years. And I realized I couldn't even remember if the little T-post notches were supposed to go on the front or the back. But I'm pretty sure the insulators go on the front, because if a bear presses on it, it'll kind of get the T-post will act as reinforcement. And if you have the wire, these little notches, and the insulator on the inside, and the bear pushes it, actually it'll pop that insulator right off the clip. So I'm pretty sure that was correct. I got my little fence handles. If I remember correctly, I need to go back and research it. I'm rusty. But I think we did like hot, ground, and then hot. If you need to do more than that, that's fine. I'm thinking to do 3 strands. I think also that bottom hot wire is probably too high. I think they're supposed to be closer to 6 inches off the ground, because a bear can get under there. So not perfect. This gate is also enormous. They see the gate goes, this is the hinge for the gate over here. I wanted enough room that I could pull I built the yard originally with the hives, that I could pull the truck in and feed or pull honey or whatever, set my honey pouch there. But I also didn't really build it in mind where, if the fence is here, I can't scoop these hives up. So I'm going to have to think about that in the future when I place the hives, how the fence is going to be. But, you know, this is the prototype. This is actually the very first fence I've ever built in my entire life for my own beekeeping operation. I've had the wire and the insulators. I've had the solar charger, everything for years, because I always thought we would start doing it in Florida, and we just never got hit by bears, so I never did. So yeah, I'm gonna have to kind of figure it out. I also realized that really nice, expensive solar charger I have, it was clicking and working a few days ago. When I came here to hook it up, it's dead as a doornail. And I noticed the battery is from like 2015 or something. So probably expired. I'm guessing that was the case. I can't see any other reason why it's bad. But yeah, I know there's probably needing some support here. Those wires are gonna droop a little bit. I know it needs more wires. I know that wire might be too high. It's going to be a little bit for me to relearn all this, but it didn't take that long. You can see I kind of got out here just before sundown. I was able to just sink these T-posts by myself pretty quick, pop those on, run the wires. I know it's not done, but I mean, like, it's not like it's not that close to being done. I think a 3rd strand. I forgot to bring a ground rod too. I guess that rebar would be good for that. I know you want to sink like a ground rod, like, I think it's like 6 feet in the ground or so. It's really deep to get a good grounding. And from what I read, the soil here on the plateau is so rocky, it's not a great insulator. So you really want to make sure you have a good ground. That's why I was thinking to do a ground wire here. Although now I'm trying to remember if the ground wire needs to be connected to the T-post so it actually grounds and not on the insulator. So maybe screw that up too. I'm just showing this because it's kind of my work in progress here. Don't be gentle with me on the comments. We'll figure it out. If I don't figure it out, I'll find out really quickly, because a bear will let me know that I didn't do it right. So anyways, it's getting dark. It's very cold, so the bees stop flying. I'm going to go ahead and start loading those 20 pallets over there up. Move them, just drop them in that new yard, and then I'm going to call it a night. And then I'm done moving bees for, I don't know, a week or whatever it's going to be. So I'll be able to catch up on some sleep. I hope to come out here in the morning and just fix this thing and try out one of those new chargers we just got in. try to make it right. Maybe I just need to watch some more videos or something, because I'm not super proud of what I've got so far, but this is a prototype, man. So, you know, whatever. I'm pretty excited. My first fence. Just finished getting the last 20 pallets from the first semi on the ground. Actually went pretty smooth. You can see I got the barbed wire here. I was a little worried I wouldn't have enough room to work the hives, but that's more than enough room. They wanted me to stay, of course, on near the fence, and here's the road they're using, and then it's hard to see maybe, but that's all their hayfield. And I was able to get it. It was a little tight, but no problems really. Just a long single row here. I'm just making sure all the lids are straight, boxes are together. This load went pretty good. They're pretty well propolised right now. There was one load I moved the other night and they cracked pretty bad, which usually is not a good sign in terms of strength. These, it's pretty darn cold out here. I don't know what the temperature is, but my fingers are getting numb. And you can see they're still quite bearding. A lot of them are, quite a bit. So they seem okay. Not all of them are, but a lot of them are. I mean, look at that one. Some of them, you can hear them humming. Yeah, we had a couple lids that shifted, and I had 3 caps blew out. That was it. It's still getting a little easier every night going up and down these roads. I'm starting to notice some of the road names now, the main highways I'm taking. And that's just kind of nice. And it's just getting a little easier every night I do this. It's still not exactly fun going up and down these giant mountain roads and the curves and stuff, but I imagine I'll get used to it over time. I imagine my poor truck probably won't. It's definitely a lot. You gotta work that engine a lot harder, especially when you're carrying all these hives. But yeah, they're looking really good. So yeah, you can see we got the road, fence, everything's looking fine. I hope he'll be happy because I would definitely like to put some bees in his other spot, probably on the next semi. Everybody's looking pretty good. All right. Well, that's it. This is my last night shift here for hopefully about a week. So I am looking forward to some sleep. And all right, well, I'm gonna go, when I get home, I'm gonna put those slides in on those 4 cloak boards I set up today. I didn't do that yet. So hopefully there's plenty enough bees up there to sit on that brood. And then we'll try grafting tomorrow when it gets warm enough. And we'll see what happens. Got it all set up. I feel pretty good about it. I mean, you know, I won't know until Bear Tight tries it out. But there's a charger. I do like these new chargers because they've got a little clip for the ground and the hot wire. All I did was run the ground clip to the T-post. Found a nice rusty spot, so hopefully get a good connection. Ran a small wire from the T-post onto this middle ground wire here. And then I connected the main hot wire from the solar charger to the bottom hot wire. And then I ran this small splice wire up to the top hot wire. Now what I did here is a little risky because you can see if this hot wire touches the ground wire there, it will short out. That happened all the time at Barkman. So what I need to do eventually is get some wire with maybe like a rubber coating, and that way I don't have that issue. That's all I have right now, but that's something I can definitely do to improve. Definitely want some kind of better metal grounding rod here. I'm worried about the paint acting as an insulator, because it will. So it's not like perfect, but I'm consistently getting the 8,000 volts out of here. I've been watching it, so all seems well. I do feel like some of these places are a little saggy, especially on the bottom. I do feel like I could use some ground, some support post or whatever ends up being eventually. I mean, I think it'll work. I decided I'm not going to lower the hot wire on the bottom layer, even though to my eyes, it seems a hair high. I am worried about a bear like slipping under there, but it's kind of sagging, as you can see, because I don't have enough support posts. So I don't want to drop it too low and it ground out on the grass, or when the grass does start growing here shortly, when spring's about to kick on, could be a problem. Now I will come and spray this fence line with Roundup next time I come around. So I will kill everything. When I do these permanent yards, I don't want anything ever growing under this fence ever. So that's something I got to work on. But you know, outside of maybe needing a few more support posts and maybe a better ground rod and that little hot wire splicer connector wire, whatever you want to call it, getting something that can be a little insulated, protect it from touching the ground wire. I feel like it's in pretty good shape. I feel pretty happy about it. So obviously, we just won't know until it's really tested. I did put my game camera out there on the post, so I can watch in case a bear does come. This is the first yard I have that I think could potentially, get hit by a bear, because it's kind of out in the woods all by itself. And so we'll just have to see. I was worried about being able to move the hives out of here later, and maybe some of this being in the way, but I realized all I got to do is open this massive, probably far too large of a gate, because this will sag and they get tangled really bad when you open them up over time. But all I really got to do is just unwind the wires here. I mean, it won't take long, and then this will basically be one giant hinge here, which would give me total access to the hives here. I may have put that T-post a little too close. I think I can get in there with the skid steer, and if I can, all you gotta do is wrap a chain around it and yank it up with the forks. So I should be able to move the hives in and out no problem, even though I don't have any intention of doing that anytime soon. So I'll say for my first fence, I'm pretty happy. I'm sure every time I build one, I'll find a little bit of a way to improve it. And I really do hate these plastic insulators, because I know they just won't hold up over time. So I knew a beekeeper, he used to do these pressure treated fence posts in the corners, and he would put like these giant metal screws into them, and it was either glass or ceramic rings, and he would run the wires through. And on the inside, he also had these, it was a different type of design of a glass or ceramic ring on the inside, and it would kind of like pull tension on the fence. But basically there was no plastic, and the posts themselves were, fence posts, so they were going to last, a lifetime basically, if they're pressure treated. And the only thing that ever went bad in that yard was just the wire, would go bad. In Florida, it went bad a lot because we were so close to the coast. You got a lot of salt water in the air, and a lot of salt in the air, and it would just cause the wires to rust out and break, especially if you started moving them down to like Apalachicola or Port St. Joe area to make tie-tie. That was a constant problem with the erosion, the metal erosion down there, so or metal corrosion, I guess. So yeah, this is it. So yeah, I think in the end, I know somebody said in the comments in the last video they could put up a fence in a couple hours, and assuming this is adequate, if I didn't screw up, I think that is probably true. I could probably drop one of these in a couple hours. I do want to try out those electric nets that I got in as well and just see how they work. I do think the advantage again to those is just that they're mobile. I can pick them up even easier than these. I will need to bring the skid steer and a chain to yank all these T-posts out, because I just sunk them so deep I can't pull them out by myself, because that's the point, right? If I can yank them out, a bear can sure push them over. So I see the bees are flying here, so I think I'm done here. I'll keep an eye on it. I'm sure there's room for improvement over time, but prototype fence I think is okay. And I'm gonna get back to the house and try grafting and see if we can't hopefully get some cells out this week next. According to this electric fence voltage tester I got, I'm consistently getting 8,000 volts. It's hard to see in the daylight, these bulbs. But yeah, it's steady hitting 8,000. I've seen it peak occasionally at 10,000. I saw a couple times it dropped to 6. I wonder if I just didn't have enough time to, the solar charger's only been charging for one day. I don't know if that was long enough to get a full charge. But it seems to consistently hold at 8,000. From what I've read online, you generally want to be well over 5,000 for bears. So, that 8,000, ideally even 10,000 would be really good for a bear deterrent. So I've been watching it out here for a while, and it just seems to be holding steady. So I think we're good. Appear to have a nice arc there. I just started opening the double deeps here at the house. I was trying to find a really good one to graft off of. This one's very weak, as you can see. Pretty empty too. But you can see they're still making some drone larvae there at the top. All I'm going to do with these, I'm just going to pull the 8-bar and put them back together. They're not good enough to graft off of. This double deep right next to that one that was light I just opened, that's a solid box of honey. It's completely full. Population's okay. I'm going to have to be quick, because you can see over here, those were the cell builders where I put the cloaks in. Maybe I should have waited to put those buckets on until I had to put the grafts in, because you can see they're robbing. they're not really robbing the hive so much as they're robbing where the buckets were. So I moved them off. I put caps in there. I went in and pulled the slide out of this one. That's that one that was very weak. There just were not enough bees in that top box to make it viable for grafts. It's alive. It just really needs some food and some time. It's not ready. So I'll leave the cloak board where it's at. I'll probably just graft on these 3 today since they seem to be a little stressed out with this robbing behavior. That'll drop my graft percentage too. So we'll just put grafts in those 3. They were all pretty good. There was one that was kind of but I don't really want to leave the hives open for too long to go and add brood or bees or anything. It'll just be a little quick job today, and we'll just see what happens. It's a nice looking queen there. See all this, now this was all brand new foundation we put in right before we sent them to almonds. So they did draw not 100% of it. You can see they drew quite a bit out. She's got a lot of eggs and little young larvae in there. They look pretty good. I do have like proper breeder hives selected that I marked all of last year somewhere. I don't know if they're here in another yard or still over in California, so I don't really care. I'm just looking for a pretty good hive for our little test. This one looks pretty darn good. It's pretty 2 full boxes of bees. You can see the drones running around. The queen's a really pretty color. And all 3 stages of brood. And pretty darn heavy. And they're still pretty packed full of bee bread. Definitely from California. It's pretty old, shiny, glossy looking. But they've got plenty of food resources. I think we just need the weather to stay warm here consistently. And we just need some natural, a little bit more pollen coming in. That dandelion is just not really cutting it. I got a couple good frames of a pretty good larva. I think we can graft off of. I pulled off just off that one hive there I was showing. Went in and put it in the Pro Nuke. I went in and shook and brushed all the bees off. It's actually warming up quite a lot. It's actually getting pretty warm. But still, just to be safe, I don't want to, it's very windy up here on the plateau too. So just to kind of make sure temperature and the wind is not a problem, I'm going to go graft in the house. And that way I can at least kind of know the temperature is stable and all that. I honestly probably could graft outside now. The weather here is just wacky. It's just, it's very cold one day, like extremely cold. And then the next day it's hot. It's almost like Florida temperatures. And then, you know, not that long ago we had a snow, but the day after the snow, you couldn't even tell it had snowed. So yeah, and I read about that online, and the other beekeepers told me too. And I know that is an issue. The bees can get out and burn a lot of calories and starve to death this time of year. That's what I've been warned of. I can very much see that. Now, so far, except for, you know, there's a hive here that was very light and a hive over there was very light, but I don't know if they were just sent to California that way. Could have just been some of those crappy hives we sent as extras. That's what I think. Anyways, but the ones that are good are just packed full. I don't think they're going to burn through a solid deep box of honey plus whatever's in the bottom box before we get into a honey flow. Could be wrong. I have no idea. But I can see some things starting to bloom a little bit. And they're starting to open fairly quickly here. There's some white buds there in the tree. There's something else. I've been seeing those around. And it's just some different plants in the area. But it's still nothing major. I am seeing more and more like wildflowers pop up. And the bees are all over those. I don't know if they're really getting anything significant from them or not. I can only see the dandelion pollen for certain, and that's just because I saw the bees. They're collecting it. There's definitely no nectar coming in that I've been able to see, you know, just from the first 6 hives that have opened. You know, I have not, that's it. So I haven't really gotten a good sample. And I didn't have any robbing problems or anything until I put those buckets on. So that was, I don't know, maybe in hindsight it was a mistake. They don't really seem to be eating those pollen patties that I put on too much. I mean, I see them nipping away at them, but it's not like they scarfed them down overnight or anything. But it was also very cold last night, so they were probably clustered up. But anyways, I'm going to go graft. My goal is to do 2 bars, 2 bars, 2 bars. I'll do about, I put as many cups as I can get on a bar, so it's about 20 per bar. So 40 grafts per colony. That should be pretty good. I'm probably not going to film it just because I don't want to have the hive sitting there open while I've got the camera running. But I already removed 1 frame there in the center, so there's an empty slot. And I'm just going to just dump the grafts in, put the bucket back on, and then tomorrow morning I'll pull that slide out. And maybe we'll get something, maybe we won't. I feel very skeptical that we'll get much with the weather being as strange as it is, and without seeing really heavy pollen coming in. And now on top of this little bit of robbing. I don't have high expectations at all, but you know, I got to just start trying and just start collecting that information. We can see a little bit better here. That's all honey. And then you can see all that bee bread that's there. And look at all the royal jelly there that's on the larvae. They're quite well fed. Now, I don't know if they're producing that much royal jelly from the natural pollen that's coming in here in Tennessee, or if they're consuming that bee bread to produce the royal jelly. I mean, could be some of both. I mean, there is some pollen coming in. It's just not substantial. And clearly they have, every frame kind of looks like that. It's just got that just packed full of different varieties of pollen. So again, resources, they should be okay. And all of the larvae and these young ones that I'm grafting here those were what the queen has laid since she's been here in Tennessee. So even after that long drive and getting hot and having the traffic jamming over there, getting them hauled in, the bees have still felt that they were good enough to start producing the worker larvae here. I'm pretty confident the drone larvae there, they probably were laid in California. That's my guess. I haven't seen any like really, really young drone larvae yet to know that they're laying here. And well, that's not really true, no, because we did just see the those drone larvae that were on the top bars just a minute ago. So no, actually, yeah, they are making drones here. That's correct. You see there's plenty of drone pupa here. And you can see this uncapped. I've been shaking these frames as I came across them. That uncapped honey, that's not fresh nectar. It's pretty dehydrated, so that was probably nectar they caught in, I'm assuming, also in California. And they just didn't get enough to cap it off. They didn't have enough calories coming in. But, I'm also just kind of making guesses here. I'm not really 100% on any of this stuff. Everything's very new to me here. So I'm just trying to eyeball everything best I can figure. So there's some of the grafts I'm just doing there. I like my little Chinese tool. It's nothing fancy. I just got a little stand here, a little table here. And I'm going to get to it and finish these off and get them back in the hives before they dry out or get too chilled or anything. Got the grafts in, got the buckets back on. This is the only one to me that looks really strong enough to do anything. It's about a full box. That one I didn't put the grafts in again. They were too weak. These two are kind of weak and they're not great looking. Maybe there wasn't enough larvae to get them up there brewed up in the top box. A lot of the top boxes have mostly been honey and pollen. But, that's what I did when I didn't take time to rearrange them properly. But yeah, hopefully this one will tell us whether we can get anything. Again, I'm not expecting amazing results or anything. But, we just have to see. So, again, I'll leave the slides in all day today. I'll pull them out in the morning. That way the top box is still in a queenless state because the queen's down in the bottom box. Her pheromones can't reach those bees. They'll try to draw some the cells. They're going to have larvae up there too, which is going to compete against the grafts. So that's part of the one issue too of not rearranging everything properly. But when you're really in spring, it doesn't make a difference. But we'll see how it goes. And it's Sunday, so the cells should be capped on Friday. I don't know if I'll have time to come out and check prior to then. I might just pull the slides out in the morning, and then I got a bunch of other stuff I got to go do. So maybe we'll check them Friday. We'll see. If I get a bad result from here, and if I don't think it's due to the quality of the hives themselves, I may also try a queenless starter sometime later. I got plenty of hives to pull from. I find usually just a 4-frame, queenless nuke does really, really well, especially if you just shake some extra nurse bees into the box. I find a queenless starter just is much more effective at drawing cells in suboptimal conditions. I think we're in suboptimal conditions because we're definitely not bringing in nectar that I've seen, and the pollen is very limited. So I would define this as suboptimal just with the limited observations I've been able to make. Although I believe we're going to turn a corner from what I've been talking to some of the locals are, so we'll see. I do prefer the cloaks when we're in like full spring though, just because you don't need to really add any resources to them, or if you do, it's minimal because they produce everything they need. And you're not constantly yanking brood out of other hives just to make some cells. So what we found last year in Florida was the cloaks did fantastic in the spring, just because it's perfectly optimal conditions to raise queens in. And then they crashed very, very bad in the summer, which I think was due to the heat. Whenever it hit 90 plus degrees outside, that's when our grafts would drop down to like 10%. It's horrible. Even if there was pollen and they were fed and patties and medicated and blah, 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 and everything I did, nothing worked. And the queenless starters would still raise some cells. in the heat, so they don't seem to perform so well. Now I'm interested to see what we can do as far as queen cell production in the summer here, because I mean it does get hot here, but it's not going to get as hot as Florida. And from what I've understood or been told, the summer dearth here is also just not as intense as Florida. I mean, there is a summer dearth here, but it's not like Florida. August in Florida, and maybe even some degrees in July, depending on how the tallow puts out, was the worst time of year for us. That's when we lost almost all of our colonies due to high heat, starvation, robbing, mites, beetles. I know all that's going to be here to a degree, but I don't think the beetle pressure is going to be as bad here either. And we'll just have to see. So I'm hoping that even though we're going to have a delayed season, maybe I can continue producing cells or queens. We'll see, a little deeper into summer than I could in Florida, or maybe we just won't lose so many hives as we do in Florida. And then of course we'll have to shut the hives down in fall to get them ready for almonds. We won't be growing them in December or anything anymore, that's for sure, unless I want to shut them down there, and I don't. So that'll be interesting to see what the queens do. Once we have cells going, then I can start, you know, my season starts. I'm going to start cracking these in half. We're going to make honey off single deeps this year. Probably just throw a box foundation on them. As soon as our taxes get done, which it should be any day now, we'll see what the budget looks like. We'll go ahead and place an order for some bee equipment. I did find a pressure treating plant or a company or whatever, maybe an hour from here. I can't remember the name of it. But they'll treat the boxes just the same as we could in Florida, so I will have all the new equipment pressure treated. I wanted to buy from the Amish guys or buy from a local guy, but I don't have time, and honestly, as much as I hate Man Lake, they're just cheap, and I can get a semi right here, and then load the boxes on a truck, and drive out there to that pressure treating place to have them pressure treated. So we will be buying, I hope, quite a bit more equipment here, and yeah, and we'll see what's going to happen. But yeah, anyways, we'll just see what the cell builders give me. And as soon as the bees tell me it's okay to start making cells, then I know there, just from what I would do in Florida, just, you know, to start making the splits, getting ready to start making honey, start making nukes, start shaking for the minis, start getting queens made, then eventually get some packages out, and hopefully make honey and blah, blah, blah. You know, the season will start. But the beginning of the season is always cell production for me, since we raise all of our own stuff. So I just need the bees to tell me when they're ready, and they're flying like nuts right now though. But yeah, it's hot today. Yesterday they weren't flying much, it was so chilly, and today they're just crazy. I sure hope they can go find something to eat. I definitely don't want them to burn through all those food stores I have, you know, since I have no food to feed them. So that I'm a little nervous about, but I mean, most of them have, you know, a full deep box of honey. I really want to believe that's enough to get them through until you know, until the spring flow starts here. So yeah, I don't know. I'll find out shortly, you know. But all right, guys, that's probably all I can do this week. I've got to finish unpacking that trailer because I got to make another run down to Florida here shortly. So can't play with bees anymore this week, and the week's about over anyway. So wish the cell builders good luck, and hopefully we'll get a good result. And I'll talk to you guys next week. Thank you so much for watching. See ya.